young Aaron Nagler have wanted a Raven to ride his bike?
100%, absolutely. But I will say, props to Armin because he owns it, right? He's a diehard, and he is like completely in his feelings for why he doesn't want a Raven touching his bike.
Now, please welcome from Cheesehead TV, Aaron Nagler and Bill Schmid.
And that's powerful stuff.
Carry the G Radio is on your radio on YouTube and X. I'm Billy Schmid, Aaron Nagler here as well. We're going to be joined by AJ Dillon coming up as we carry the G across the state of Wisconsin following a Packers victory, a victorious Monday yesterday, and a victory chicken Monday now turns into a Tuesday, and we get ready to turn the page, get into Packers football for week number 9 in a massive division game coming up against the Detroit Lions. Too much on the plate, so much on the table, and there is so much to be able to go through with all of you on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line, which is 877-794-1973. Also on the YouTube comments as people are ready to roll in here as well. And we are very, very excited to be, carrying the G across the state of Wisconsin. More importantly, getting ready for a massive game coming up against the Detroit Lions at Lambeau Field. We'll go through all of the availability. We'll go through all the possibilities. If indeed it'll be Jordan Love, if indeed it'll be somebody else, some Malik Willis fans are very, very excited to be able to potentially see him coming in to start against those Detroit Lions, but we'll have all those answers and more. And it carries the G across the state of Wisconsin with our guy, Aaron Nagler, as he joins me right now here on the G Radio. There's so much fun stuff to talk about from last week. I know there's too much conversation to have already about next week, but most importantly, New York City, man, you just got to be laughing in the tears that are just rolling through the streets of New York City with another L in the football side, big L's on the baseball side, and it's just wins here in Wisconsin.
I mean, that's what it's all about. The fact that you're a transplant in New York City and you get to revel in the idea that, oh, hi, welcome Jets fans. Yeah, you lost to the Patriots, who are terrible. And a big part of the conversation right now is, oh, Aaron Rodgers, he keeps taking the play clock down to 1 second. Yeah, we tried to warn you. Remember the whole leverage gate period a couple years ago? We tried to tell you. You didn't want to listen. And then Yankees fans, they were so happy. They were so ready for a World Series. They were all like up in your face, wearing their gear and all this stuff. Oh, have you lost 3 games in a row? I'm really sorry.
So sorry.
The only fan base I really do kind of feel sorry for are the Giants. I mean, you got to watch Daniel Jones quarterback your favorite team. That's a hell I don't ever want to know. I mean, that's tough stuff.
Do you think it's harder to be a fan of the team or to own the team and then have to have this amnesia that John Mara has been going through for the last 8-9 weeks, where he said, I wasn't going to be able to sleep. Not going to be able to sleep. Saquon Barkley goes to the Eagles. Well, let alone is he going to the Eagles, he's also one of the top guys in the league in rushing. Like, it's a brutal experience out there. It's one that I'm very, very excited we don't have to live in.
No,
Instead,
sir.
Nags, we get to now for the next week on X as well as right here, because they're already firing in from Legolas. Reese has a question. We get to go into yes, maybe no season for the next week as the trade deadline comes up and approaches for our favorite football team.
Yeah, but there's that great clip of McCarthy that will live forever when you're talking about the Green Bay Packers and the trade deadline, where I believe it was Bill Huber was like, what's the trade deadline like around here? And McCarthy says, I thought it was next week. And Bill's like, no, it's tomorrow. He's like, really? That's what it's like. Like, I'm sure phone calls are being made. I'm sure conversations are being had. But we all know. I just love people putting out their lists of like, oh, these are the guys that could target.
Oh, yeah.
We all know they're going to pull some practice squad dude you never heard of. Come on now. They ain't going to trade for nobody.
Right. I mean, Reese already said, would DJ Reed at a fair price be a good fit for the Packers? We definitely need to improve our pass rush and cornerback 2 spot that can be a cornerback 1 when asked to. It's clear to have a full room of edge rushers. Hey, man, they're already firing them up. I'm surprised, and we'll talk about the actual football on the field throughout the entirety, and we're going to talk to AJ Dillon coming up here in about 15 minutes or so. Right. But when your team is 6-2 and there's potential opportunities to improve.
Yep.
Now you've seen the team be a little bit more aggressive already this year in trying to improve the football team. Next, then I don't know where this Preston Smith smoke's coming from. Like, now we've heard multiple people say that they might be subtracting to the football team than adding to it, and that would be surprising to me 1 week away from election day and trade deadline day.
It would be, except it's the Packers, right? Now I will say, to your point, yeah, I think with Brian at the helm, there's definitely more of a possibility, more of a chance that maybe they go swing a trade. I'm not completely kicking it out of the realm of possibility, right? But I do think the idea that, I wouldn't be surprised if they traded Preston Smith. Like you said, there has been a lot of smoke around that name, but it's not like they're going to make some humongous move. I keep getting asked about, the Myles Garretts and Max Crosbys of the world, both of whose teams have said, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, not
but
happening.
That's what, or you can dial it down a little bit, the Greg Newsoms of the world, if you will. I
Mhm.
don't mind the idea of Reed, actually. I think that would make a lot of sense. I just don't see them operating that way. We all know that not only are you trading for a player, you're trading for a contract or a potential extension. They've got very set ways of building their salary cap and how they set these players. I can't imagine them inviting some kind of, outlier in the sense that, okay, now whoever you're trading for, what's their contract situation? And, or are you going to have to extend them? And where do they fit in that, puzzle piece, as Brian always says? It's a puzzle that you have to fit together. How does that component work? So is it possible? Yeah, I just not holding my breath. I'll be surprised if there's some kind of trade that they swing here. But now, like I was kind of joking earlier, but I do mean it. Like, if they poach somebody off a practice squad, that would not surprise me.
Not at all. And now I'm also excited that the trade that also won't be made won't be really discussed over here in the next probably week or so, because fans that potentially after 2 weeks of him playing the starting quarterback role said, hey man, we got this guy for a 7th round pick. We could flip him for a 4th or a 3rd round pick of trading Malik Willis. Now, Nags, that's completely out the window because he might be the starting quarterback this week. And the game coming up from this past weekend, the clips of the watch party were elite. Being able to see and witness that scramble, and then Josh Jacobs rumbling, stumbling, not fumbling from 38 away. It's a celebratory win. It's a great one to be able to get, but it does lead into one of the most anticipated weeks on the schedule right away. So I apologize that I'm already forward thinking.
Oh, no, I'm right there with you.
About
Look,
but I'm
Billy,
so juiced for Sunday.
Billy, we closed the door on Jacksonville, right?
There we go.
You got to Florida. You survived. Hopefully you survived, especially on the injury side of things. Got lots of good news yesterday in that regard. So just get out of Florida with a dub. That's all I care about. Now you're 6-2. Yes, it is 100% time, at least on my end. I'm focusing on the Lions game because, man, what a measuring stick. Now, I say this every year, and I know people probably get sick of it, but man, nobody hangs a banner for what you do early November. Like, whatever transpires on Sunday, it's one game. Now, it's an important game. It's a division game, and you're going against arguably the best team in the league. So it's a great measuring stick. But that's all it is in early November. It doesn't portend doom or a championship in waiting if you win. It's just one game to kind of give you an idea of where you're at. And I love the idea that we get this measuring stick right before the bye week. Like, get that game under your belt, reset, hopefully heal up from things, and then start the second half of the season. I love this, how it kind of lays out this way.
Oh, it's beautiful. It also allows the Packers to circumvent one just little kink in the NFL schedule this year, or in the NFL season, which has been any team that plays the Lions loses the next week. So you don't play the next week. Can't lose. How about that? Can't lose. That's chess, not checkers. It's also a spot where for them to heal up going into not only the last 8 games of the season, not only 4 of your 6 division games out of those 8 games. We were talking about it on 9 to noon here, Nags, like how it breaks down is fascinating for the back half of the schedule, right? 4 games,
all these games
in 4 games in 18 days. When you're talking, I was looking at just the 3 and 11. You add in another Thursday game on the trip to Detroit on the back half of the third quarter of the season. And those are 3 massive games against teams that were all expected to be in the playoffs. Miami is the one that right now is not. However, I don't think anybody really wants to mess around if Tua and that offense start clicking a little bit.
Start humming, right?
So
nope.
It becomes a remarkably big sector of the schedule there in the third quarter of the season that I started the show by saying if Jordan's even close to like 90%, playing him on Sunday. To the point later into the show, like if there's really any inherent risk that he could further that injury and that you miss him for a portion of that 4-game and 18-day stretch, then you do have to sit him. So I have rode the fence on this right here on Tuesday and probably will continue to until Friday.
That's well done, sir. I'm impressed. You should be a politician. It is political season, and I don't know about you, Billy, but I don't really, the game, I'm looking forward to it. Getting on the other side of this thing to next Tuesday and never having to see a political ad for the next 4 years, I can't tell you. I cannot begin to describe how happy that's going to make me. Like I'm living in that world in my head already.
So the political ads better or worse than the Peyton Manning ads? Not Peyton. Peyton. I'm Peyton.
It's close, Billy. It's close. But I'm going with the political ads, just being slightly worse, but only slightly.
He's Aaron Nagler, and I approve this message.
That is correct. We'll be talking to AJ Dillon on the flip side of this break. I can hear the music firing on up. We've found our bearings here on Carry the G Radio.
We're loaded up
another
now.
Tuesday, another day with Billy, chatting it up, talking ball, talking Packers, and we'll be talking some beer later, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
This is Carry the G Radio on 97.3 The Game.
To get me through this semi-talk kind of life, baby, I want something else. I'm not listening when you say goodbye.
Here's the handoff. Dillon blasting right side along the hash marks. Rambling his way inside the 45. Down he goes. 29-yard field flipping pass play to the running back, AJ Dillon.
Okay, this is, wow.
Give to Dillon again. Picks his way up the middle between the hash marks. Fighting his way to the end zone for the touchdown. AJ Dillon. 5-yard touchdown run.
We can really be a very special team, and just everything. The sky's the limit.
AJ Dillon. Wow.
G Radio, Aaron Nagler holding it down with Bill Schmid, and of course, the guest of honor, our very special guest. It's AJ Dillon. AJ, hell of a game. How you doing? How you feeling on this Victory Tuesday?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. Feeling a lot less sore than I normally do. But no, that was a big time win. I don't travel to the away games, but I'm glad I was able to catch my breath after another very, very close ending there.
Yeah, that's the cardiac pack. You don't know nothing about that because you probably weren't even alive when Don Mikowski was doing his stuff. But we're used to it around these parts. That's how we used to live. We'd like I'd like a blowout every once in a while, AJ. These close games. I'm an older man now. I'm not built for it.
Yeah, hey, there's nothing wrong with just leaving a team in the dust. I think we're due for a few.
I mean,
yeah, we could get those in.
We joke about it.
Same for
there
the
you
playoffs.
go.
Same for
I like that. I like that
there
style.
You go.
Yes.
Now you're talking. We were joking earlier today. It is the NFL, and you do hear Matt LaFleur all week, right, talking about this is not anything close to a trap game. This is a legit team that has lots of talent, and he highlighted all the close losses that they've had, and now Green Bay has obviously added to that. How hard is it as a player? Because the coach is going to say that. Is it difficult to maybe not get up because you only have 17 games? You obviously want to give your all every single game. But this is an opponent that has a losing record. You're hearing the coach say all this stuff. Is it, okay, I want to try and buy in, or does that just naturally get tuned out? Like, how do you handle that as a player?
Yeah, no, I think you do buy in. I think everybody's watching enough March Madness games. Everybody's seen the first round teams get lose to a 16, all that good stuff. So I think from a guy in our perspective, when we have the winning record in this scenario, you can definitely lock in. I feel like it's actually harder on the flip side. If you go back to last year when we were 2-5. Did we start last year?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to the other side, then it's harder. I feel like when I was watching that game, I'm like, I was surprised that they kind of started to come back a little bit. I was like, this is a team that's been losing. It's a lot easier to be like, here's another
Here we go again.
Here's another loss. And it's a lot harder to climb back up if you go down. Obviously, they come out the gate swinging, giving everything they got. But it's a lot harder on that other side to get all 53, the coaching staff, the trainers, everybody bought in. Like, we still have a shot.
Well, and it also, I always think there's something to proving to your own team that you can win games in different fashions, right? Like, speak to that, being able to prove to yourself come playoff time. High school kids are in playoffs right now, and it tests all the time of, hey, we know that we can win a game this way because we've done it. Proof can be in the pudding that way.
I think adversity is key in sports, and that's not some out of this world thing. It's very cliche, but it's really true. And at every level, high school, college, NFL, you need to go through adverse situations to figure out what your team is about. And coaches say it all the time, but I'm obviously hoping, like every other Packer fan in the world, that Jordan's health is good. But I mean, Malik has stepped up, and I'll give credit where it's due. He's played 3 games and he's won 3 games. And so obviously, is that the game plan that Matt and all those guys drew up? No. But did we find a way to win? Fantastic. Did we have some penalties we probably shouldn't have wanted? Did we put ourselves in some bad situations? Yeah, but we still found a way to win. Last week, I think we had like 3 turnovers, and we still found a way to win. We lost, the Austin turnover battle 2 weeks ago. And so it's like, no, these aren't great situations to have, and the odds would say if bad things happen, you tend to lose those games. But if you can find a way to win those, that when the time comes for those big games down the line, like that's really big and very encouraging. So imagine what it's going to be like when everything's 100%. Sky's the limit.
I got to imagine it's obviously incumbent upon the coaches to make the adjustments when you watch Jordan Love go out. You put a new quarterback in. Now you've got a couple games with him, right? But both of those starts were after a week of preparation, right? To make that dramatic of a shift, and it seemed pretty dramatic as far as, okay, we went from we're running our stuff to, okay, we're going to button it up and we're going to hand the ball to Josh about 20 times in a row. That's what it felt like anyway, right?
Yeah.
Is that hard as a player, or is that just, okay, we're just a different way of operating? Because I do know, you guys clearly have stuff you practice on all week. You got in the game plan that you're implementing, and then to have it shift pretty dramatically. How difficult is that as a player, or is that more, okay, that's the quarterback who's dealing with that? We're just running plays that are called.
Yeah, no, I think it definitely is affects the entire team, at least the entire offense, for sure. I think one of the things we do a good job of, and I'd assume every team, you have your bread and butter plays. And so we have obviously game plan to game plan, week by week, depending on who we're playing. But there's some core things within our offense where it might look like a new play, but it's the same base play, and that is credit to Matt and those offensive coordinators. We have so many plays, but they do kind of stem from some of the base ideas and concepts. So whether it's an RPO or a run or whatever, it all starts with a couple concepts and goes from there. But I think that's one of the things where it makes it easier. I've not played quarterback by any means. It would make it easier for somebody to, hey, I didn't really think I was going to be starting this week, but like, hey, now I'm here. I got to win this game. I got to find a way to win on the road against a team who's battling, who's coming back. Everybody's looking at me. Can I do it again? And, I think my short time knowing Malik, obviously I haven't been out there with him on the field, but seeing him in the locker room and getting able to talk to him a couple times in the cafeteria and stuff, everybody loves the guy. He's a great teammate, great locker room guy. And so I think there was still everybody supported him and thought that we would win that game for sure.
AJ, no disrespect to the families of the quarterbacks that you played with at Boston College, but it didn't matter if the starter was in or the backup. You were going to be the focal point of the offense, right? I mean, no disrespect to those cats, but when Josh then knows for the second half, the show's on him. How empowering is that as a guy that the ball is going to be in your belly for 15 maybe touches here coming down the stretch?
That's awesome. It's awesome. I think one of the biggest things with being a running back in the NFL is obviously the offensive line, number one. But beyond that, for yourself and personally, it's all about getting that groove. It's people talk about it in basketball all the time, like that volume shooting. One of the hardest things to do as a running back is get a carry or two in the first quarter and then not touch the ball and get to the third. Or like you're on a drive, you're really moving and you're picking up 1, you're picking up 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you hit another 5-yard, and then you don't touch the ball again for another quarter. Like that's the hardest thing. People are like, he was running earlier, why can't he? It is just a mindset, and I think a lot of running backs are like that. Josh is tremendous running back. That run he had where he was breaking tackles down the sideline was awesome. But I know, like, he wants the ball. He wants to get in that group. He wants that volume, those volume carries. And I feel like in knowing him and watching him get his game, that's where he does best. That's where he takes it to another level. Once he gets in that sweet spot, he feels good. Stuff just starts to naturally happen. He feels that you get in that zone, that mindset. And so I love seeing that. I love when they started dialing it up. Obviously not at Jordan's expense, but maybe that was a game plan regardless. I don't know. But I'm just happy, like, he was able to do that. And then we saw, like, hey, 20-something carries, 20 carries, and look at the production.
I mean, you can't deny the production and the result absolutely were there. They all flowed together, Like, it's just crazy that it feels like a switch that they just flip, because you look at the approach against the Colts or the Titans, and then you go to the second half of this game on Sunday, and it does feel like all of a sudden it's, okay, now we're a bunch of road graders up front, and now we're going to live with some, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, but it's not a problem. We know if we do, to your point, keep giving him the ball, those results and that production is going to come. It's crazy how a one guy at that position can take over a football game in 2024, where things are so geared towards the passing game. But it does feel like this team in particular can just suddenly run the ball whenever they want.
I think the something with our team is the mindset of our entire offense, it's just, yes, we're a pass. Like we got one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. Yeah, we're a passing offense. Okay, it's and we got great receivers, but I think when we need to, and the way we practice, whether it's guys on special teams or defense or offense, we practice a physical style of ball. And so I think especially as the season goes on, that'll wear on teams. But even if you look at a microscope view of the game, yeah, why didn't they run it in the first, whatever, as a running back, yeah, I'm saying the same thing. But, but the last couple games, we're running down people's throats in the third and fourth quarter, and we're finding ways to win games. So who am I to say maybe we run one? Who am I? But my point is that kind of philosophy, the way that everybody approaches things. People talk about Tucker blocking on the edge. Yeah, he's an awesome pass catcher, but that doesn't just happen overnight. That's his mindset. He's gonna go at these defenders and block them into the ground. We got Jaden Reed and the receivers blocking DBs. And then that happens over the course of the game. These DBs, these guys don't want to get blocked all day. And then you
business
get Josh,
decisions.
Then you get Josh with a full head of steam, feeling good. It's like that over time. I watched a tremendous run by Josh. Absolutely, I'm not taking anything away from it. But you see, is that fourth quarter, third quarter?
Late, I want to say
late third quarter.
Late third quarter.
Yep.
The first two guys, they're horizontal, feet in the air, dive and try to tackle a guy who's in front of them.
It's so true.
They are demoralized. They're demoralized, and Josh just ran right by him, and he's making people miss, which is awesome and credit to his game. But that kind of play style wears on teams, and if you zoom out, hopefully that play style and everybody stays healthy. We can do that throughout the course of the season as teams start to, it's kind of a war of attrition, as you know.
Yeah, no
When
doubt.
you start seeing those business decisions be made, AJ, how do you not talk smack? That's got to be the most difficult thing when you do start seeing souls start getting snatched, to not let somebody say, "Hey, man, that's gonna be on film. Your kids are going to be watching that." So.
Yeah, it's the weirdest. It's the weirdest thing for me watching these games. So I've never been in this situation. So watching a game on TV, and I know exactly what's going on. And I'm sitting, and my family probably thinks I'm so annoying now because I'm like, no, we got to rewind this. I'm like, look at this guy, look at that block right there. Like, all right, he scored, no big deal. Like he broke. But look at the defender. Like he gave up.
Awesome.
That's great.
It's the best.
He wants to go home, So, it's awesome, man. I'm happy we got that win, and we got a big game this week coming up.
Big game. I did want to, before we will talk about Detroit, but real quickly, you mentioned you don't travel on the road. You're at home watching the game. What's the Dillon setup? How are you situated when you're watching these games?
Yeah. So I have my brother-in-law. Well, my whole in-laws, they're all Green Bay. They're all local, so they're all over. And my wife normally does a lot of chefing up. This weekend though, I did my fair share of my husband duties.
Okay.
I was like, hey, what do you need? I did the beer battered brats.
There we go.
A couple beers in there, some onions, some chili flakes, threw them on the grill, some burgers. And then she did a lot of healthy meals. She did
that's nice of her.
Sweet potato crostinis, and just gotta watch the figure.
Nice.
Yeah, but it was a good time. We watching from the noon games all the way to the night games. So
there you go.
Once you hear surprise mashed potatoes, AJ, I learned this one with my wife. Surprise, they're not mashed potatoes. Like that was the crazy one to me when the healthy stuff came in. So I'm gonna take care of the meat, right? I'll take care of the grilling. We'll do that one. So what do we got on the grill setup? What are we working with over there?
Man, I've been shepherding up on the grill. I will say I picked up a lot of hobbies.
Yeah, I'll bet, right?
Yes, absolutely.
My wife's like, go do something. So yeah, I've been grilling. I'm a really good New York ship. I make a real good New York strip. They're very shareable. I love that. But we just threw some burgers on there. Maplewood Meats, my shameless plug, is my favorite spot in town to go get my burgers or anything that I'm cooking up.
Nice.
That's what I'm talking about. Nags, I got the Traeger grill earlier this year, so I'm trying to experiment. I'm trying to mess around with it.
Which one you got?
Strip. The 575.
Okay, I got the
most important
650 or something like that. Come on, let's share.
Yep, now we're talking. Yes, absolutely. There's nothing better than looking on your phone, knowing and showing, hey man, you see the stem?
You want to smoke something overnight? You leave the little probe in there, go to bed. I got other people got to wake up. You get no sleep. I want to be well rested when I enjoy this food.
You guys talking about these big ass grills doing all this stuff. I live in New York in a tiny ass apartment. I ain't got nothing. I got a George Foreman, boys. That's what I got working.
You got to come out here to God's country, Nags. You know you miss it.
I'll be there. I'll be there for the week of the 49ers and the Dolphins. I can't wait. I can't wait. By the way, that stretch is amazing. That's the schedule gods finally did us a favor and put 2 Green Bay games in Green Bay in 1 week. That week is going to be awesome. I can't wait. But way before we get there, AJ, you did mention big game coming up on Sunday. And I know the news broke a little bit before we started recording here that Jordan is considered day-to-day. Now, I know that's a report and the team hasn't said anything, so you're not going to say anything. And I get all that. But as the week of practice, right, as it pertains to that, if a guy is day-to-day, you're at the quarterback spot, how much are you repping both quarterbacks? And how does that affect your preparation? Because I got to think the game plan's probably different, considering if one starts or the other starts.
Yeah.
Are you doing more? I mean, what does that look like?
I would say normally if a guy's day to day, especially the quarterback spot, you're going to give both those guys reps. You're going to give I don't know what Jordan's status is, but if he's good enough to practice, then they would probably give him as many reps as he can take or they deem is okay. And then I would assume Malik would take all the rest. And I think the game plan in all actuality won't change that much depending on who's in. I think like I said, it all stems from a few solid. We're gonna have something that we're watching their defense. This is what we're gonna attack them on. There might be a couple plays more suited for Jordan, a couple plays more suited for Malik, and then that's kind of a game time decision based on who's in, who's not. But as far as the overall scheme and how we're going to attack them, I don't see that too much changing. So I feel like for everybody else, the other 10 guys in that huddle, it's like, all right, we got these. And like you might have 5 or 6 sprinkle plays depending on what quarterback's in there. But everybody's professional. You'll have it down pat.
AJ, you talked about physicality earlier and how you guys want to impose some physicality, right? Play a physical brand of football. Talk to us about the Lions, man, because that's their bread and butter. They're physical, and this seems like it has been an all-out street fight the last few years. Just is there something in the week that there's going to be some messaging of, hey, it's going to take we got to sign up for 60 because they're going to bring it for all of it?
Yeah, I think that's always anytime you're playing anybody in the NFC North. As long as I've been a part of the Packers, I mean, even when I forget the first 2 years of the Lions when I was here. They weren't very good. But even then, it was still, hey, you're going to get their best shot. I remember we played them one year, and they're, like, by far out of the playoffs. There's no shot. And, like, we're playing them a year, and they're, like, they're still going. They're fourth quarter, like, they're still hitting. And you're going to get that. I think once again, I'm always going to give credit. I'm a football fan first. Dan Campbell and all those guys over there, they're playing well. I don't really have any really, really close friends over there anymore. I do have Christian Mahogany, who went to Boston College, was a lineman. So
there we go.
Hope he's doing well. But yeah, I mean, I was watching that game too in the multi-box, and what they put up 50-something points,
50 plus, yeah. No joke.
Great.
Well, okay, but it helps when you get 2 returns for touchdowns. I mean, all right, was it 50 on offense?
It's hard to return touchdowns.
Yeah. You're right.
Year.
AJ, just let me have this. AJ, just let me have it. All right?
He's going through it right now, AJ. He's going through it.
Come on now.
Go through it. No need to psych yourself out, man. No need to.
No, that's true. Well, I'm glad you brought that up because it is fun after games to get the instant reaction from fans, and it's like if we play like that against the Lions, we're gonna get killed. We have no shot. All of that, and it's like, have you watched the NFL? That's what's crazy to me, man. Like there is such a all right, yeah, we're not going to go there, but there is such a minimal distance between teams when it comes to overall talent level. Right now, obviously, some teams have a bit more talent at certain positions, or they have a coach who's really dialed in. But ultimately, there is not a game that you can't win in the NFL.
Look at the Ravens.
Yes,
look at the Ravens.
1,000%.
Lost to one of the worst teams. It's not. The NFL is not like college. If Alabama went and played Eastern Carolina right now, watch Eastern Carolina.
I was just going to say, right?
They're having their best
Get donkey. Don't worry about it.
I mean,
you're all good.
Don't talk to Vanderbilt about this. My goodness.
But, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they'd be smoked. That's not the case. That's not the case in the NFL. And the way the NFL is built, the Lions were one of the worst teams for however many years straight, and now they're one of the best. I think they're holding the number 1 seed for the moment.
At the moment.
And the NFL is based around and designed to have 1-score games.
Yep.
That is designed. There's a reason they have the witching hour and NFL red zone. There's a reason for all that. The way the game is designed, you're not really going to get many blowouts. It's always going to be right down to the wire. The last team's always going to have a chance, even if they're down 12. Somebody's going to be saying, "Well, it's possible."
A lot of ball game left, AJ. A lot of ball game.
Exactly. So, it's not that big of a discrepancy. Every game is always going to come down to the wire. But like we said earlier, I'm down to get some blowouts going.
I mean,
we would like
eventually. We need to get there. We need to get there.
So I got one final thing here, AJ.
Yeah.
Big story this week with the Athletic. Now, I'm a large individual, right? That's why I like the offensive line play. So this one caught my eye. That Uncrustables are taking over halftime locker rooms. And I think it is one of the better kept secrets in football is the in-game nutrition, because a lot of guys have their pre-game meal, but you're not eating for like 7 or 8 hours and you're burning a bunch of calories. So what's the lifestyle like? How many snacks? And for you personally, were you a Uncrustable guy? You grabbing a protein bar? You laughing at guys grabbing 3 of those sandwiches out of the cooler?
Yeah. No, I mean, you honestly eat a lot on game day. Maybe not before, and because I know some people are like, I can't eat before the game or I'll throw up. Everybody has their own thing. For me, since high school or since college, I do chicken breasts, brown rice, green beans. I put like some barbecue sauce or some mayo or something. You get all your food groups and some obviously you're hydrated. And now if we're at an away game, if we're at our own facility, you can just go grab your stuff. But if we're at an away game, they normally have some sandwiches, some fruit, some like gummy things. They do have Uncrustables. Uncrustables are big. I'm normally like PB&J Uncrustables. They have the honey and the strawberry. The honey ones are interesting. They have honey. It's peanut butter and honey. Those are
peanut butter and honey. That's what my mom made me growing up. Those are dope.
Those are damn. But they're kind of like this little special treat. I don't feel full. I need 100% before a game. I need to go back to my roots. Same. So, but a lot of guys, the peanut butter and jellies are huge. And then you come back in at halftime. Rice Krispie treats are big, honestly.
Okay. I like that. Yeah.
I remember, so you're really not allowed to have any food on the sideline. And so, like, that, at least our team rules, like, you're not really, supposed to be eating because you got labels and all that good stuff.
Sure.
But Aaron Jones always used to want Rice Krispie treats. Like, that just was always his thing. And so I would always make sure, like, we'd bring one out or something like that. That was his thing. And so, especially when it got cold, I just put him in. Like, I was like one of those guys in New York.
Put him in the jacket.
Like, I'd have these Rice Krispie treats. And I remember I gave him his one. We're playing Somebody It's Cold. And he went out there and he forgot that he had like stuffed it into his pants. And so he's running the ball with this Rice Krispie treat. And I don't remember if it came out or he like looked at it, but like we were both like, whoa. But he's like running the ball and he has a Rice Krispie treat in his pants.
Man, is that a Rice Krispie treat in your pocket, or are you just excited to see me? That takes a whole new meaning now.
So Packers have come a long way since Ezra Johnson was eating a hot dog on the sideline. My goodness. Rice Krispie treats bursting out. That's awesome. Yeah. That's amazing. I love it. AJ, you're an absolute legend for joining us each and every week. Thank you so much for joining us here at Carry the G Radio, and we will talk to you next week.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys as always.
Thanks, man.
What I want.
Care of the G Radio rolls on this Tuesday afternoon. Aaron Nagler coming to you live from New York City. Bill Schmid holding it down at the iHeart Metroplex in the greater Milwaukee area. Bill Schmid, always good to hear from AJ Dillon. Talked to him yesterday, obviously. We had a
So
nice
much fun.
recording there to throw on for everybody. Good to hear from AJ. Good stuff.
Dude, it is a great perspective to be able to get from somebody who is still really plugged in, cares about it. And I think that's the other part of it, right? Like, he genuinely cares and wants the Green Bay Packers to win, right? Like, now I know that shouldn't be surprising for somebody that's on the football team. But once you're on the football team and also away from the football
on
team,
the shelf for the
but you're on the
season.
shelf, like, there can be a lot of different thoughts that go through your mind. And he is laser focused on doing anything he can to help in his position, while also realizing, I got a lot of extra time on my hands. I might as well go have some fun. And I really do appreciate the fun that he genuinely, and maybe he's just really, really good at faking it, because that's part of the job, Nags. Part of the job when you come on with us is you have to act like you like us. That was my man Tim Allen's favorite statement when we would interview players. All right, now you got to act like you like us. I don't think he fakes it. I
don't think he's
having
acting?
a good time.
Well, he's pretty good if he is. I mean, I am a classically trained actor. I think I would know if he
I was going to say, I think you would know.
it. But who knows, man? You never know. You never know. I will say, always love talking to AJ. Always love getting, like you said, his perspective from somewhat inside of things. Just great. And like the way he frames the Lions game, I'm all in, man. The Packers have way better than a puncher's chance. I've seen such kind of dourness in some segments of Packers fandom this week already. Man, I love that it's in Lambeau. I loved, and I will say, this was a great quote from Dan Campbell earlier today when he's meeting with the media, and he said, you know, what's my message for the team? Shoes. It's Lambeau. It's grass. It's 325. The whole nation will be watching. It's for the North. What more do I need to say? Yeah. Like, you love to be in this position. And that's it, man. Like, where else would you rather be than the Packers, the whole nation watching, Lambeau Field, late afternoon, so you got that extra time in the morning to get your pregame on. And then you get to watch two of the best teams in the league go at it, man. Like, that's why you sign up for this. That's why I love being a Packers fan. These are the types of weeks that I live for.
It's the fruits of the labor of the offseason, right?
Exactly.
To be in the middle here saying, damn, I barely even care about talking about this massive win that they got, where your backup quarterback has to come from behind, beat a team that was in the playoff chase a year ago, now is very, very much out of the playoff chase right now at 2-6 in Jacksonville. However, team that's capable enough to go and nip somebody, and you watched a lot of teams get bit throughout the NFL. I also think, Nags, that when you hear MCDC and the energy that he brings, I really appreciate that this rivalry right now it is still third in my humble
the power rankings of Packers, rivalries. Yeah.
Yep.
It's a hard number 3. No question.
However, over the last 10 years, 15 years, I mean, include those Stafford years, those were hard-fought games.
Those are fun games,
and
no doubt.
Going to Ford Field is never easy. Actually, probably the more competitive rivalry out of all of them. Vikings has been tough. There's been zero interest in the Bears. That one's just fun to beat up on. Yep. But this Lions rivalry, I think it needs more juice. It shouldn't, because the games are always good. But these two teams being right now, it feels like on a collision course to be battling for this division for the next 5 years or so.
Right.
It's going to get ratcheted up, and there's going to be some bad blood that starts coming out of this, maybe without a Sue stomp to start it.
Right. Well, what's crazy, though, is now we're at the point where they do feel like rivals, but it's interesting to remember that 4-game stretch or so when TJ Lang made the jump from the Packers to the Lions, and the Lions whooped up on the Packers 4 games straight. And it looked like it was going to be more of the same starting last year. That Thursday nighter, they come into Lambeau. They essentially have their way with the Packers. And you think, maybe Campbell's just got LaFleur's number. Like, maybe this is one of those matchups where it's always going to be problematic. But I will say, the way the Packers went into Detroit last year, put a whooping on them in front of the whole country on a national holiday, everybody looking at it, man, that gives you a whole lot of hope as far as, okay, they're not the big bro that you can't beat. They are a team that, yes, they're playing extremely well, But like everybody else, they're dealing with injuries. They're dealing with issues. I got my guy here, Chris, in the chat asking, what is the weak spot in the Lions defense that we can exploit? I think the obvious thing you point to is after Hutchinson, they're really trying to dial bodies up along their defensive front, along that line, trying to get after the quarterback. They have really kind of downshifted as far as their ability to get to the quarterback with 4. That doesn't mean they can't. They obviously will dial up pressure. Aaron Glenn is a really good defensive coordinator. But the other area where I do think this plays into the Packers' kind of mode of operation this week, regardless of who's at quarterback, Lions are giving up almost 5 yards per carry on the ground, 4.7 average on the year, right? They've allowed 7 touchdowns on the ground. Now, some of this is, you got to put it in context as far as what the game script is.
Yeah, they're also donkey stomping some
They're
teams,
also, but that's the thing, right? The
Mhm.
offense is absolutely lighting scoreboards up. But that's an area where the Packers should be able to find some success, especially at home. And I talked about it yesterday on my show. Look, this is a week where I want Josh Jacobs to get 20-plus carries. I want to take the air out of this game. I definitely want to see Jared Goff on the sideline wearing a baseball cap. I don't want him in that offense on the field in any way, shape, or form. The less I see them operating on offense, the better. And the best way to do that, man, run the ball. Run the ball, let that clock run. Now, obviously, you got to be productive. Points come out of the passing game. Still got to throw it at points throughout. But, man, run the ball.
Yeah, it's one as well to continue to try to force Goff maybe later into the game to have to air. Goff in cold weather has not been necessarily a good one. Goff outdoors has not been good.
Cold?
It's not really going to be cold. It's not going to be
be
slick.
Yeah.
It'll just be Jared Goff outdoors, which is always a fun deal. Which is fun for us to be able to watch.
Always a toss-up when Goff has to play outside the comforts of a dome. No question.
But man, true. I mean, like it is, I think it's 9-9 over the last 18 games in this matchup. You mentioned the 17-18 run where the Lions were just dominating the Packers, including a 31-0 game when sure, Rodgers leaves early. But Nags, I remember that 2018 final game of the year. I was in the casino by the end of the game. And that included a pit stop at home to get food after halftime. Like that was a brutal affair at Lambeau Field.
Yeah.
So we got something coming up here for those Motor City kiddies.
Remember when I believe it was when LaFleur first got hired, and the first was it 2 or 3 games where they ended up winning, but the Packers did, but they never led. They never led in any of those games. Like
2019
won both of those games on the last second kick.
Packers win both 23-20 and 23-22. I believe there was a Alan Lazard touchdown on Monday Night Football against in one of those games.
That was kind of his coming out party, no question about it. And now he's here in New York, though I know he didn't play against the Patriots. And now he's like, holding it down for Aaron Rodgers.
And now he's legit.
He's got those hand signals down, Billy. So, he'll see the ball.
You got to learn them. Our hand signal is telling us that it's time to take a quick timeout. We'll be back with hour number 2 of Carry the G Radio on the other side. And hopefully with 2 cold ones of Carry the G Cream Ale on the other side. With Aaron Nagler and Billy Schmid, Cheesehead TV, 97.3 The Game. It's Carry the G Radio.
to about 6 or 7.
Not about what you're capable of. It's about what you're willing to do.
Young Aaron Nagler have wanted a Raven to ride his bike.
100%, absolutely. But I will say, props to Arm because he owns it, right? He's a diehard, and he is like completely in his feelings for why he doesn't want a Raven touching his bike.
Now, please welcome from Cheesehead TV, Aaron Nagler and Bill Schmid.
Carry the G Radio Hour 2 rolls on. Coming to you live from New York. Bill in Milwaukee. Looking at this matchup with the Detroit Lions on Sunday. And Bill, you know, it is that time of the program, sir, where it's time for our namesake here.
Let's go.
There we go, baby. Now
that
I'm
is
ready.
A beautiful cricket being popped right here, and that tall drink of Carry the G.
That's what I'm talking about, sir.
I gotta say, and I don't know that we've discussed this. I really mostly appreciate not only the taste, the exceptional logo. The 16 ounce is just a beautiful decision. I mean, like, when packaging, was that a part of the conversation? Like, why on earth would we do a 12 ouncer?
No. It's it's the perfect tailgate beer. It really is.
It is.
It's designed for use year round. You're always welcome to drink some Carry the G if you can find it in season and keep it with you for the remainder of the off season. But man, it is a perfect tailgate beer. It's so smooth, and the idea that you can have a few prior to the game and you still be all right. It's just a good time, man. It's just a good time.
And it also tailgate beers are also better come later into the season. Now, I did have a good friend of mine who is down in the at Jacksonville, lives down in Florida, so he's used to the heat. However, he said those cold beers were really going down quite quickly in Jacksonville, and it may have caught up to him to the point where this Packers fan sitting in row Z, I think of like 431, my man had to take a deep breath and stop with the cold ones into the fourth quarter.
I don't doubt it.
Because it caught up to him where he's like, whoa, this heat, this drunk, I might throw up. I'm going to have to hold off here real quick because I don't want to miss this Brandon McManus game winner, and the game's getting tight while I'm getting drunker.
Well, especially if you're sitting in the sun for the entire proceedings. I mean, I do love how they have, and this is like legit, man. This is just how it should be. Like, you're the home team. You play in Florida. Yeah, you keep those visitors on a sideline without shade while you sit there with plenty of it. Like, that is a true home field advantage. And I do think you saw some Packers players probably suffering those effects towards the end of that game. I mean, that's no joke, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
Joke.
Now, I know you had the report yesterday, and we appreciate Newsbreak Nags on the Evan Williams
Newsbreak Nags. That's good.
Conversation. It's a good one. Listen, I like Newsbreaker Nags. Now, I don't know if you have to put a different hat on for that, or if you have to keep the phone right by the shower, because I know that's the tough life of these insiders.
Yes,
can't even take a shower without having my phone right there.
The news breaking all the time. Got to be available.
With the Williams pull, the groin for Jordan, talked about it with John a little bit yesterday. Now he's on the field. He's like, I shot it at 99.3. All right. Hot, but not as hot as it's been throughout the season. Maybe it had something to do with it. It's also just unseasonably warm for where the Packers are at right now. Makes you feel better going into this week. Your report with Evan Williams makes you feel a little bit better because Jair Alexander, Evan Williams, Nags, I think there's a very, very good case to be made that the Williams injury I'm a little bit more concerned about because of the amount of players that it impacts on the defense.
It was nuts. And it was interesting to hear LaFleur yesterday during his availability essentially admit, and I think his phrasing was, there was a cascading effect after Williams went out. I said a little less charitably, watching the tape back Monday morning, it was kind of disheartening how the defense somewhat fell apart after Evan Williams went out with that hamstring injury. I mean, it obviously meant a lot of shifting in the secondary, and boy, did the Jaguars take advantage. That's tough to see when it kind of the linchpin that makes the whole thing come tumbling down is your rookie safety who has played what?
Your fourth round rookie safety who's played 6 games, who's now taken himself to the place where you can't take him off the football field. I mean, David in the YouTube chat had the same thing. He was like, I was a little disturbed by how the defense played after Williams went out. Now, you do know that I'm a little bit bigger of a Trevor Lawrence fan than most
are.
I thought he made some throws for a team
No
that
doubt.
was quite desperate. Now it's difficult to match that desperation. So maybe that's where the second half and the fourth quarter in particular came a little bit more unglued. I know a lot of people were having a lot of things being thrown at Javon Bullard. Hey man, Brian Thomas Jr. has made a lot more corners and a lot of really, really good ones look silly in the
They're
second half of
talented.
games.
That's what LaFleur was talking about all last week. There's plenty of talent on that team. No question about it. Now, yeah, Bullard had a rough day at the office. There's no question about it. You also saw Stokes getting picked on a little bit, which is to be expected. The moment you see him on the field, if you're the opposing quarterback, opposing offensive coordinator, yeah, you're circling him on your surface and go, okay, this guy right here. And they did a little bit of that. Now, it wasn't an all-out assault, but
yeah,
there's no doubt, especially what, you going to go on the other side and go at Jair? No, of course not. So that was disconcerting, to say the least.
Yeah, it wasn't Jefferson level where you could tell it was either Addison or Jefferson going to be lined up on Stokes, and they were going to have themselves a fun field day with it. Just a crazy change from where we were in the third week of training camp, right? Where we're like, okay, it looks good. Seems like he's going to continue to get a chance. Going to have a chance having a summer where it unplayable is a little bit strong. However, when Carrington Valentine's up, it feels like that's going to have to be the spot. Like he's going to have to be able to go in there if indeed you can't have Nixon on the outside.
Valentine has suddenly just kind of fallen off the radar. Like I know he's been hurt, but he's up. He's suited up. Like, but he can't get on the field all of a sudden.
It was a late sub last week.
That whole thing is weird to me, man. I don't know what's going on there. I just know that Stokes at this point, he's a liability. I mean, anytime he is out there, that is you got weak link in capital neon letters flashing over the guy. And look, I appreciate his effort. Not saying he's a bum, but if you're an offensive coordinator, you're a quarterback, you know where you got to attack. There is zero mystery here.
And for this week, for the Lions in particular, like a lot of teams, you're definitely going to have to focus on the outside. You're going to have to focus on the perimeter. Now you got to focus on 14, and St. Brown's going to be mostly inside on the slot. I'm fascinated to see how they maneuver the chess pieces around. And like we were just talking about to start it, if Williams is up, it makes it even more imperative to be able to have a focal point, because then you can kind of key and lock in knowing where St. Brown will go. And then I imagine that's just shadowed with McKinney. And then you have some help with whoever gets the Sam Laporta assignment, Evan Williams over the top there. Like there's chances for you to be able to match up. That also doesn't account for maybe their biggest weapon, which is their offensive line and their running game.
That's the thing. They can kill you in so many different ways, man. And then Johnson starts dialing up like Statue of Liberty plays to an offensive lineman or something, you know. They
run that stuff this weekend.
They are coming after.
Bring that stuff this weekend. Bring a fake punt inside your own 25, Dan. I really
They tried that last year in Detroit. Didn't go too well.
Yep, but do it again.
I love they tried. Hell, they tried it against the Vikings 2 weeks ago in their own deep in their own territory, and that ended up not working out too well for them. Fell behind 10-0 and still stormed back and beat up the Vikings. But
scored 21 in the second quarter.
I'm just saying, man, this Detroit team will put your lights out. You want to hear an absolutely insane stat about the Detroit Lions? I mean, this is
if it's a good one for them, I don't love it, but yeah, I'll listen to it.
Here we go. In the last 5 games, they are the first team since the merger with more touchdowns than incompletions in a 5-game span. They have 25 touchdowns, 20 incompletions. What?
Yeah, I was hoping it was going to be a stat that was helping us feel more confident going into the game. There's not a whole lot of those. Stats, especially when you talk about the.
Well, there was the stat we talked about prior to the break. They're giving up 4.7 yards per carry, Billy. Got to run the ball. Keep that offense off the field.
Yeah, and let's not let Aiden Hutchinson into the building. Sorry, man. You don't get to prop yourself up on 2 seats. You don't get 2 rows. Sorry, we sell out our suites, all right? You can't just have one where you get to prop up your foot and have the entire day.
He is welcome at Lambeau. I welcome the young man. I welcome the young man. Enjoy the sights. Enjoy the sounds. I wholeheartedly think we let the man enjoy and be part of the team. Much like if AJ was choosing to travel, you know, like I'd be fine. You know, I would hope the opponent would say, "Yes, Mr. Dillon, come on in and enjoy the view of the game.
Yeah, enjoy it on YouTube TV and enjoy Wayne and Larry's call on 97.3 The Game. I think that's the way that he can go. Now, I would say I would not advise it, but I bet he'll probably pass. He'll probably listen to Dan Miller and Lomas Brown on the Lions call if you would like to, and maybe TJ Lang.
TJ Lang on the mic.
Now, you mentioned TJ Lang. We're hoping to be able to talk to him coming up this week on 9 to noon. There is a manliness of their team that a lot of people gravitate towards. There's style of play that people really, really like.
Yes, sir.
But I appreciate with that stat of the incompletions of touchdowns, it showcases kind of the heart and soul of their team. Who is Jared Goff, right? Like, I mean, even though they got all these amazing playmakers, Nags, he's the guy that gets it all going. He's the straw that stirs the drink, and he's apparently the biggest fan favorite they have for the Motor City Kitties.
I think there's a real kind of sense of, it's funny to watch the narrative about Stafford's homecomings the last couple of years. And I know they got to a point, I think Stafford straight out said it, like, I'm done talking about it, right? Which I get, I get how that probably wears thin after a while. But it is fascinating to watch how Goff was like the afterthought of that trade. Like they, wanted
traded
to
picks with him.
Stafford, move picks, etc. Now Goff has become the guy. And in a way that I will say, I love the way the city has embraced him. He has embraced his place in Detroit as the leader of that team. It's great. It's great to watch, especially if you've watched the Lions for the last couple decades, going back to Wayne Fonts and company. I mean, it's been tough if you're a Detroit fan. So I love to see them on the upswing. I just don't want them winning Sunday at Lambeau.
I definitely don't. Definitely not going to be reporting them here in the midst of what has been a newsy Tuesday.
There have been a lot of NFL news, no doubt.
We got a newsy Tuesday here, Nags. I don't know how. Hold on to your butts. So the Joe Flacco starting news is out. Anthony Richardson tapping on the helmet. Well, he can tap his helmet on the sideline because he
can get all the rest he needs now.
10 starts in the NFL. That's it.
Billy, I will say, back in the day, back old school style, when men were men and football players and coaches were just going by their instincts, that you did used to say, after 10 starts.
Wow, really?
At
okay.
The quarterback spot.
Sure.
10 starts in, you should have a pretty good idea of what a guy is. And I mean, the guy can't complete over 50% of his passes, Billy, in the modern NFL. I understand making the switch, especially since, this is being driven by the coaching staff. This is self-preservation. You got to win some games.
Well, they're 4-4. They could probably go to the playoffs. And also, he tapped out of a game. I mean, like, I can't. There's certain things that you just can't really come back from.
Nope.
And I would love to know Ryan Kelly, class center, Pro Bowl center for the Colts.
Yeah.
Say, man, I talked to him. I'm going to keep that private, but we told me you just can't be doing that. Listen, buddy, you just can't be doing that. Then you can't play, right? Like if you can't play the entire game, you're probably not going to play the whole time, especially when Joe Flacco's sitting on the side and
that's the other part of it.
The games
like,
that they play.
What do we do? George Foster, the former Bronco and Lions lineman, put it perfectly yesterday on Twitter. He said, there are 6 spots on offense that do not come off the field unless they are injured. The 5 guys up front and the quarterback. I mean, that is just how it operates. That is how it works. That is the game. And you don't want to be part of the game? That's great. But we'll move on and we'll go to the guy who has looked pretty good when he's come in. Flacco has certainly looked rejuvenated last year with the Browns and his limited time this year with the Colts. I mean, that's a guy who knows how to get it done. Like you said, they're in the mix. They're in the thick of it. You got to win some games. So I'm not surprised that they made this move at all.
I was happy that Anthony Richardson started for the Colts when the Packers played the Colts in week 2, right? Like,
especially when he sailed that pass right into the loving arms of Xavier McKinney.
Come on now.
Yes,
yep.
Yes, sir.
Amen to that. The other parts of the news here, this coming out within the last hour, it is a torn ACL for Stephon Diggs.
Brutal.
He is officially out for the year with the Houston Texans. Was having a pretty solid year. Now their injuries continue to pile up. They play Thursday Night Football. Yesterday, Nags, I'm like, wait, wrong team favored. They're playing the Jets for crying out loud.
The Jets are favored by 1.
Now 2. Now 2 points.
It's going up to 2.
Going up to 2 points. 4-33 since 2019. The Jets and Giants combined on primetime games.
Amazing.
Jets do have a win on the primetime game straight up this year. Very interesting one is CJ Stroud and company will have to play without Diggs for the rest of the year, still without Nico Collins there as well. And then this one just came down within the last 5 or 10 minutes from right now. Deontay Johnson being traded from the Carolina Panthers to the Baltimore Ravens. The compensation update, little pick swap. The Panthers getting a 5th round pick for Deontay Johnson and a 6th round pick. So Deontay Johnson can play. He gets to go to a team that actually can play in the Baltimore Ravens. And Carolina Panthers, only good thing that they have done is the donation they did for the concert that was at Bank of America
for
Stadium
Carolina
this weekend.
was amazing.
Was amazing. Then
Yes.
Dave Tepper and company had fans in the Mile High City.
The Broncos game
out of Mile High
Why
Stadium.
can't this guy just leave fans alone? What is with this dude?
There's some rich guys are not supposed to own NFL teams.
Or be near other humans if they can't interact as humans. Like, I don't understand this guy. Oh my gosh. I just love that he saw that Dan Snyder was out of the league and goes, "What's that? There's an opening for worst owner in sports? Let me at it." And now he's just like taking the reins. He's been like, "Yo, Dan's gone. There ain't no more competition. Dolan, he's in a whole nother couple different leagues. I'm the NFL guy. That's the big league. I am now officially the worst owner in sports." And I get it. Hey, look, the
gotta have something.
I mean, hey, if your team is garbage, you gotta hold on to
gotta have something.
the victories you can get. But you're right. I say all that, but the donating to the stadium for the concert was amazing. That's a great,
it was an awesome, awesome
great
thing.
move.
Yes,
great move. No doubt.
We're big fans of that. We are still going to make fun of you though. Like,
zero doubt.
Sorry, you're still going to get made fun of, especially when you
throwing Broncos fans out, throwing drinks on fans last year. Like, what this dude, and going to local stores that have signage about how terrible your team is, so you can berate the owners. Like, what is this guy?
It is the cat that did buy a home to tear it down and build a bigger one because the guy didn't give him a job. So I mean, like, he is a different cat. Money doesn't mean you should own a team. Just because you're rich, just because you have the funds for it, doesn't mean you should own one of these franchises. However, Nags, it's the coolest flex.
Oh, absolutely.
In rich people, in rich circles of, hey, you want to come see my NFL team? But the bad thing is,
go sit, watch my NFL team.
I don't want to bring people to my NFL team because they stink. So I'm going to fire everybody again. I'm fascinated to see how many more people he fires this offseason.
That was the funny part about the Jets losing in London, and then the story coming out that Woody Johnson was all upset because he had invited everyone to
embarrassed by my friends.
Come hang out in the suite and watch the game in London, and then they look like garbage against the Vikings.
Dude, you embarrassed me in front of my friends.
So good.
Don't do that.
So
Mom, what are you doing? Come on.
Woody Johnson's coming for that title, by the way. I mean, Tepper's got a good handle on it, but Woody Johnson's doing everything he can to get in that conversation.
Can you put some respect on the name? Ambassador Johnson.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Come on.
I apologize.
I want to be known as Ambassador.
That is Ambassador Johnson, if you please. Yes.
It is fascinating, though. Jets only have a couple more minutes to still win Tuesday. They've won Tuesday, all of October.
Just
a lot
remember,
of ball
Billy,
game left.
Just remember, Billy, thinking is overrated.
Talking is not. Hanging out with Aaron Nagler, myself, Billy Schmid, and drinking Carry the G Cream Ale is not overrated. It's so much better on the other side of this quick timeout. And we'll have more Carry the G getting into Packers and Lions right after this.
Carry the G Radio rolling on. Final half hour here, ready to go. Bill Schmid holding it down there in Milwaukee. Aaron Nagler coming to you live from New York. Bill, we got to talk about something. We got to talk about something serious. There is a serious issue. Serious issue.
Serious issue?
Can you tell me who leads the Packers in sacks as we sit here today, October 29th?
Well, it is the third-year player guy that I am a huge fan of, Devontae Wyatt.
That's correct. How many does he have?
I'm gonna go 3.5, sir.
He has 3. Billy, it is October 29th, and while I
He's only played 6 games.
applaud your enthusiasm for getting the correct answer,
Mm-hmm.
do you not see an issue here? Devontae Wyatt missed like a month.
Yeah, not a couple games.
He plays along the interior, and he's leading the team in sacks.
Yeah. Well,
With 3.
because it's a pass rush that's about a team, not just a me.
Oh, is that
it's a
what it
we.
is? Is that what
It's a
it is?
we.
Okay.
That's why we're
we turn to the we because
Yeah.
the me isn't getting it done.
Well, it's because we're not trying to get all these sacks, Nags. We're not trying to. We're trying to keep them in the pocket.
Is that what it
Trying
is?
to be good, trying to be nice to the
Okay.
offensive line stats.
You
We're just
know,
trying to contain.
Billy, I bought
not
it for a
get
while.
sacked.
I bought it for a while, Billy. I'm done. I'm returning
I
it.
had that ill of goods
I've
for a
got my
while.
receipts. I am returning it.
Yeah, I think
Really?
you might be right. I totally do get the issue. I see the problem. Now, I wish I had a clearer answer for a solution to said problem because it's not as clear as I could potentially see. However, there are options you would think inside 1265, maybe potentially some more snaps for a 55, right? Maybe more snaps for a 95. Less snaps for like a number 90. Like there's different ways that potentially you try to generate some more pass rush. I will say one way that I would probably not is fake crossing over the center in a basketball dribble.
Billy,
when
at least
lined
he's
up over
having
the top.
fun out there, man. At least he's having a good time. I mean, that's really what it's all about, ain't it? I mean,
Well, yeah, I mean, not getting Kenny Clark blindsided would also be a good one.
these are the
but
things where it's like, I love it. It's so fun if it's working, if it's being productive, like if it's contributing to winning football. I'm in, man. Have a great time. Do whatever you got to do. The moonwalk. I don't care. But man, gotta get
It's a tough scene.
Got to start getting home, and it is an awful look when you're doing all that stuff pre-snap, and then you just get stoned.
Yeah, that makes it look worse. That makes it look quite a bit worse. The problem is, Nags, like the athleticism up front should bode itself better to being able to generate through stunts more pressure.
Yeah, and they've done some of that, and they've been a little productive in that regard, right? That has been the way.
Yeah,
if they are rushing 4, if it's a strict only, we're only sending 4 guys, that has been a way for them to generate a little bit, right? But man, these straight up 4-man rushes, it's hard to watch, man. It is tough to watch.
But the quarterbacks aren't getting loose. We're containing them.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness for that.
Containing
We all know
Yeah.
Jared Goff, big guy with his legs, no doubt about it. So we got that checked off. He will not be escaping the pocket, sir.
Would assume, though, that this would be more similar to the style of aggressive nature that they had against Houston, right? Because Stroud can move.
So?
I would think. I mean, like Stroud
don't
can
think so.
move. He doesn't want to move. I would
don't think
assume they
so.
try to dial up more coming up this week.
No, I'd be surprised. Just because, and here's my thinking. Like Houston had all sorts of issues because the Packers played with their protection plan. Like which they've had issues with all year, right? Especially with certain types of cross dogs and things like that. Lions ain't got any of that trouble. They got the best offensive line in the game. They have a super rock solid, airtight protection plan in a way that Houston absolutely didn't and doesn't. So I think that you'll see a smattering of it. You'll see a little bit of it. I don't think they're going hog wild like they did against Houston, though, for that reason. Like,
yeah, and
Lions
for
come
that
to play, man.
Sure, and that would only incentivize me to bring more because like you're not going to be able to get anything with 4 guys going up against Penei Sewell and company. Then
yeah, it's a tough way to live. I will say though, going into last year's game, that Thanksgiving contest, I didn't feel very good about their 4-man front against that line. And they made all sorts of stuff happen. And they played really good stuff on the back end, got a couple turnovers. That's a winning formula, obviously. So maybe there's some surprise awaiting us on Sunday afternoon, but to me, that's the probably biggest issue on this team right now. Like, I don't, doubt that you're talking coverage, you're talking the guys, the cascading effect, if you will, from Evan Williams going out. Like, I have every confidence that with a week of preparation, like they'll get that sorted. And I think that will be better. But man, there ain't nothing you can do to make these guys suddenly turn it on and become able to win these one-on-ones that they are just getting absolutely stoned. And it's not just, okay, you talk about Penny Sewell. You go up against Sewell, you go up against some of these premier tackles, you're like, okay, fair play. That's one of the best in the business. Like, tip your cap, he's good. Like, that's going to happen. But when you're getting stoned, and I mean stoned, Billy, by running backs, by tight ends, that's just a tough look. And it hasn't just been Rashawn. It's been Lucas Van Ness. It's been Preston Smith. It's been everybody, man. There is no one consistently winning a one-on-one matchup up front outside of Devontae Wyatt. So thank goodness he's back. But it's been hard to watch, man. Been hard to watch.
See, in all of this that you just laid out, again, would bring me to believe that you try to find more pressure, right? Like, because we're not the only ones watching this, right? So, like, as we can sulk in the disappointment of it, you got to find some solutions. And you would assume the solutions would be more aggression, more heat, maybe some more Edgerrin Cooper onto the field. It's a line that gave up 4 sacks against the Vikings a couple of weeks ago, a team that's definitely going to bring pressure. Yep. Goff's been sacked like 17 times. Yep. Middle of the pack, right in the middle. The biggest thing is you can't allow them to be in as many 2nd and 2s as they potentially want to be. So as strange as it might sound, being able to get heat on Goff is going to start more on 1st and 2nd down, being able to somewhat slow down Montgomery and Gibbs. And one of the other reasons why their O-line can be a little bit better, get it, they have great players, no doubt about it. No They also run a whole lot of screen action, which makes you be a little bit more hesitant, and they run outside a lot more to be able to go. Like, I get they are a very, very good unit, no doubt about it. I do see them being gettable, though. Like, I don't see this being an impenetrable, in a fortress that you're not going to be able to get back there to. I've seen Goff on his back quite a few times. So, like, I do know that this is a good group. I think you're going to be able to heat him up a little bit as long as you do continue to force a little bit more of the issue. That might be predicated upon if Jair Alexander's on the field or not, because I think that's been where they've been more hesitant to bring pressure is if on the outside they're healthy.
Look no further than that Vikings game, right? Where Halfley was really against a rock and a hard spot, where every time he did try to bring that pressure, Ballantyne's getting beat on a double move or Eric Stokes getting beat on a deep over route. Like, you get to a point as a defensive coordinator where you can't afford it. You have to try to generate something with your front 4 or with just 4 in general, because you can't. You can't hold up on the back end. If Jair's good to go, that absolutely changes the dynamic of it. No question about it. But we won't know that till tomorrow, or like the start of finding out that answer until tomorrow when we get our first kind of look at the injury report. They'll be back out on the practice field. But man, that is a huge component. And then if you're the coaching staff, you're putting together that game plan today. Like, Tuesday is your day, right? Where you're putting things together, putting things in the playbook, cobbling together whatever things you think will work, etc. Man, just if you're Halfley, it's a tough place to live against this offense with essentially a couple of spots up in the air injury wise. It's going to earn his money this week, no question.
Yeah, welcome to the NFL, man. I mean, like, that is it, especially in the middle of the season. Nobody is going to be healthy. Nobody is going to be 100%, especially for a game in which you're going into a division rock fight against Lions. They're banged up too. They got injuries on their side as well.
They're going to feel sorry for you looking at Hutchinson up in that box.
Yeah, and I mean, I just they're top 10 team in the league in sacks right now. It does not have one premier guy. There's not a TJ Watt. There's not a Myles Garrett, and they're not walking through that door. So you're going to have to continue to generate more of it. And I see a lot of aggression in the game plan coming up this week to try to Hey, listen, outdoor golf. Let's get outdoor golf going
Let's
in
get
here.
outdoor golf going.
He was hanging out way too much, having way too much fun in his Ricky Bobby Halloween costume with his swimsuit model wife.
Oh man.
Let's change that up a little bit. All right. He said if you're not first, you're last. But you're gonna be last coming up on Sunday, young man, when you turn the ball over twice.
I love your enthusiasm and your confidence here, Billy. You're rubbing off on me. I'm starting to get excited. I'm starting to feel it.
I'm sensing a little bit of downtrodden Aaron Nagler over
Nothing
here.
downtrodden about
Lions
just pointing
game.
out what's staring you in the face. You know, there's nothing downtrodden about it, unless I'm staring in the mirror and then I'm looking at myself, and then there's reason to be downtrodden.
Then it could be downtrodden.
That might get you a little upset. But you're just looking at the tape. The tape don't lie. The tape is telling you a story, and the story is grim when it comes to the four-man rush of the Green Bay Packers. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm talking about. I mean, it's Halloween. I'm talking about some scary stuff here. You know what I'm saying?
Well, listen, Day of the Dead's going to be done by the time this thing fires up here on Sunday at 3:25. So
truly,
I'll tell you that much. The Halloween season, the spooktacular season, going to be far in the rearview mirror. If you see my household, Nags.
Oh, sir.
It's already Christmas season.
Oh,
so I mean,
November 1st, midnight every year. Cue Last Christmas by Wham. Put up the decorations. Let's go.
Let's go. Now
Very
we're talking.
excited.
It's going to
Very
get
excited.
into the fun season, the second half of the season, and the final segment of Carry the G Radio. I don't know how fun that is. I don't know how fun it is that we're almost done. That to me is not fun.
Time flies, man. Time flies when you're having fun.
But us giving our predictions for Lions and Packers, and the prediction in the first hour and 40 minutes hasn't brought up Gold Package Sunday. I'm a big fan of that with Aaron Nagler. See, we're having some great conversation, a lot of fun.
Oh, we're going to talk, Billy. We're going to talk.
You shut your mouth. We got to go to a break. That's Aaron Nagler. I'm Billy Schmid. It's Carry the G Radio on the game.
Hey, I gotta know if your sweet love is gonna say
Carry the G Radio, wrapping up another week of fun with Bill Schmid, Aaron Nagler, coming to you live from New York. And Billy, I know this is not breaking news, but every once in a while on the internet, people grouse about stuff. They complain. They get into their feelings about how things are presented that they are engaging in, and they want to let you know.
I've heard.
We had someone in the comments earlier talking about, I can't believe you guys aren't live during the commercials on the YouTube page, right? Like we put up a thing and we say we're in commercial break, whatever. It's a radio program. So there are going to be commercial breaks, right?
Yeah, that's how we get.
You know how you can avoid those though, Billy? You know how you are able to. You have control as a consumer because you know what this is. It's not just a radio program. It is also a podcast. Carry the G Radio, the podcast.
Good call.
Is available wherever you get your podcast. So if you don't want to deal with breaks in the middle of the show, you know what you can do? Go to the iHeartRadio app. Download the latest episode. Go to Spotify, iTunes, if that's what it's called anymore. Apple, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. The Apple Podcast.
Whatever those are called.
Whatever it is, yeah.
But you can get it without any breaks. We cut them out.
It's a pretty impressive deal.
Subscribe wherever you get your podcast, people.
Now, that is a great way of being able to do it, and it's also how we're going to win the iHeart Podcast Awards. But then you also don't get to be one of the 1,100 people that are enjoying lunch with us throughout the day.
Just
hanging out, having a good time.
I mean, we're
right?
talking ball,
Maybe it's a good one because all of a sudden you're like, oh, now I can eat. So then they don't, see food on my face. That doesn't happen in here, but that might happen at your place. Like, I don't want to have Aaron and Billy seeing me with food on my face.
That's the other thing I said. Like, I understand, like, the idea of we could stay live on YouTube, right? While the commercials are going on.
Yep.
But then there's the danger of what are we talking about when we come back and all of a sudden they catch us in mid-convo about whatever. Like, nobody wants that. Because the internet, the radio, very different worlds.
Yeah, there is one show that I know does it in a very cumbersome fashion. The Rich Eisen show, where they go on and then they're on Roku and he's like, all right, now we're a minute back from our radio audience. I'm like, I'll be completely honest with you. I don't give a rip, right? Like I appreciate as a broadcaster, I appreciate the hustle, right? I really do.
No question.
And I think it's awesome how you're being able to splice it in and out. I'm the smallest of the 1%, not in size because I'm a large fellow, but like you see like the small part of I'm the minutest of the smallest group of listeners that care about your X's and O's part of it. We could be talking about anything and everything. And all of a sudden we just jump back here, terrestrial radio, and I'm slapping that dump button.
You have to get that dump button going. No, and Lord knows I'm talking into a microphone, so anything could happen. Nobody needs that. Nobody wants that.
Yeah, we learned that first week, I think it was. Yep, I think we learned that first week.
Week one.
Week one.
Yep. Yeah. Sometimes I just got to run to the, refrigerator and grab a ice cold can of Carry the G.
It's the right way to go.
Breaks are for, man.
I do also appreciate the part of our podcast because you mentioned that this is a podcast as well. Throughout the off season, we'll roll the podcast version. We'll go off the radio for the 2 hours. But
no doubt,
when that goes through, then it's going to be a sprint through to the finish. You kind of need a quick timeout, I think, to stretch your legs a little bit, move around. I mean, otherwise, your watch might tell you, "Hey, buddy, why don't you stand up real quick and get that lactic acid out of your legs? Because right now you're doing a whole lot of couch potatoing, hanging out with Aaron.
Speaking of standing up, how are those gold package folks going to look on Sunday, Billy?
Going to be loud. Going to be loud.
More importantly, are they going to be in attendance?
Oh yeah, there's gonna be a large. Yeah, it's gonna be a sellout. Yeah, it's gonna be a full house.
How's that Honolulu Blue section gonna look?
Listen, now it's 2 days away, so some people will hate when I say there'll be a Honolulu Blue wave. Probably rolling through Lambeau Field. There absolutely is going to be a lot of blue, no doubt about it. Hey man, their favorite football team is good for the first time in 3 decades.
Yep,
they're going to take every opportunity to go to any single game they can, let alone the cathedral of football.
Correct,
Lambeau Field. Now Armin Sarian and I got into a good knockout drag out fight on this yesterday on 9 to noon.
Love it.
And I understand there is a frustration with a certain amount of the fan base as to how certain people utilize their commodity of Packers tickets because some, economically speaking,
yes, sir,
you need to be able so you can enjoy the entertainment of it, have to potentially subsidize some of it and pass it along.
And that's an easy way to do so. Yes.
And it's an easy way to do so. And this game right here, Nags, I went to a lot of games with my dad where he would play this game with me, right? Because we're as gold package tickets. We never sold the games that we were going to. However, my dad would be walking up to the gate saying, "That guy just said 400 a piece, Billy. I think I might go watch this thing in the bar." Dad, you can't do that. We can't do that.
We're gonna hit up Kroll's. They got a bar. They got a TV in the bar at Kroll's.
Next, like cheapest get in the door ticket for this game is almost $300.
Dude,
like,
I saw that.
It's a difficult ask when somebody's sitting there knowing how tempting that can be. But it's going to be such a good one that I don't know how anybody's passing up.
Some bills being paid, man. That could be some rent. You know,
There's a lot of bills being paid.
You don't know, man. You don't know.
Full season worth of tickets being paid potentially in one Sunday afternoon. Where I don't know. Maybe I'm going to have to potentially miss this game.
I'll tell you what. I won't be missing it. I'll be watching it. I'll be doing a watch party, and most importantly, I think the Packers get the dub. I do. I was thinking negative thoughts earlier, but you really swung me.
Let's go.
I think this is a knockdown, drag out, knuckle, bloody fight between, albeit a team, yes, in the Lions that are just playing outstanding football. But we've seen this script too many times where, Packers have no shot. Oh, that other team is so good, etc. Home dog, baby. Give me the home dog in this one.
1916 Packers.
Ooh.
Absolute bloodbath. You said bloody knuckles. Listen, I think Dan Campbell would play a game of bloody knuckles before this game, right? Like he would take the quarters and be sliding them across. I think it's going to be an absolute slobber knocker. Red zone defense prevails in the game.
I love this idea. I don't think there's any way the Packers hold the Lions under 20 points. Give me 33-31.
All right.
That's where I think it ends.
Now, the biggest prediction here, though, if you're predicting 30 points, you're predicting 10s on the field, correct?
Not necessarily.
Whoa. Okay.
But probably, yeah.
I was going to say, okay, all right. I was going to say that's a hell of a jump from
If
scoring
it's Malik,
16 against the Colts to 30 against the Lions.
it might be a little different.
Might be a little bit different story. Guess what? The story doesn't change next week. Same time, same channel. Carry the G Radio right here. AJ Dillon will join us as always. Nags, great work here today.
Great stuff, Billy. I'll talk to you next week. Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go. This has been Carry the G Radio on the Game, Cheesehead TV. We'll talk to you next week. Tim Allen is next on the Game.
They say